Hello, everyone. Welcome to I guess this will be my second episode of the solo podcast. Right. First one was more of a Bruce Lee one, but I'm gonna think about what I'm actually gonna talk about today. I'm not too sure what this is gonna be. This is actually gonna be about. But I think that I started thinking with like everything around us, with society in general. I think the reason why you know society is the way it is, at least here in like the Western world or in America or in any Western country, right? I think a lot of it has to do with the people around us as well as the food we eat. And I started thinking like, you know, because recently I got some raw milk, you know, and apparently I read that like raw milk is actually kind of similar to, a fingerprint in the sense that each cow milk tastes a little different from another one, right? Because this is like distinctly, I guess, like a feature of the cow, right? That their milk tastes a little bit different. Whereas when you get it commercially, when it's pasteurized, homogenized, whatever they call it, basically, chemically, castration, that's basically what it is, you know? And I realized pretty much all the milk that you drink, if it's from the same company, obviously, it pretty much tastes the same. Like, and I realized like it, all- it's not supposed to taste the same. They clearly are adding something to make it taste all the same, and it's just gotta make you wonder. Even the healthy food that we eat and drink, it's not really as healthy as we think it is. Right? I started realizing this with the fitness industry, especially because they'll promote these things, right? Like whey protein, creatine, you know. And I know that's like supposedly too controversial to say, you know. Yeah, I think whey protein is. I think it depends on the company, but I don't think it's the most ideal thing if it's the wrong whey protein. You're better off not taking whey protein, in my opinion, if it's from the wrong company, right? Because just like the thing I mentioned about the cow milk, right? How each milk is supposed to taste distinctly from each like. Well, basically, not all milk is supposed to taste the same. It's supposed to be slightly different, not like a great amount of difference, but slightly difference, right? Because in a way, the milk is kind of like their fingerprint, right? And it's supposed to taste, right? It's like if you were to take cow milk from two different cows, you could actually tell the difference between the two milks, because in a way, it is their fingerprint, right? Right? Because no two humans have the same exact fingerprint, right? They might be similar, right? But they're not going to be the same. Even twins don't have the same fingerprint. You know, what I mean? That's like that is technically one way to differentiate between twins, right? It's the same with cows. So I mean, at least female cows, right? But the point is, I started to really research, right, like cow milk in specific, right, but milks in general, right? Like, and then you go on Google and then you search up like raw milk. It supposedly causes salmonella, which maybe, I mean, yeah, maybe yes, maybe no, right? I think honestly, like if you started drinking it from a young age, the possibilities of that are probably rare, right? Now, personally, I did boil my milk a little bit, right? And after boiling, I did drink it after that, like, just to be safe, because I don't routinely drink raw cow milk until like very recently. I realized like cow milk does taste a little bit different, right? Like it's a bit more organic. That's what I realized. and you can tell that in a way that this because cow milk, like raw cow milk, is a little bit more thick. Not like completely thick, but it's definitely not water-like with the way it's made in these plastic containers. Which is another issue, is that plastic containers contain, these estrogenic chemicals. Well, I shouldn't say chemicals, but properties that are in these estrogenic properties that basically lower your testosterone, right? That's why it's important to drink out of things that are either made out of glass or metal, right? And there's other materials too, right? You know, but if it's plastic, it's probably a no, right? Probably shouldn't drink out of it, right? And this is why I kind of switched out even my blender bottle that I used to use from plastic to metal, right? Which is very hard to find. It's really hard to find metal like blender bottles, but I was lucky enough to find one, right? And I realized like you know the only downside is you might have to clean it more often, right? But honestly, it's like if it's for your health supposedly, like why not? Secondly, it's kind of like I just realized it's kind of blending in to my shirt. The point is, your blender bottle, right? Every time you put, like, regardless of what milk you take, right? Whether it's almond milk, right? Like a plant-based milk, or, um, like, I guess, like, an animal type of milk. If it's in a plastic container, you're kind of like harming yourself. You're kind of like, yeah, you are like harming yourself by lowering your testosterone. Right? And it's done in a very bad way because the estrogen that's in these plastics, it's not even organic, right? Because at least if it was like, you know, I don't want to say go and take estrogen organically, right? But at least it wouldn't be as harmful, right? But unfortunately, when you take chemicals like this, right, these chemically induced estrogens that will lower your testosterone, right? And it makes you wonder, like, like I started observing like everywhere. You'll notice plastics like everywhere. That's like you're trying to avoid plastic, right? And a lot of people they might avoid plastic for environmental reasons, right? Which I mean, you know, it's a separate issue. But you know, as long as you're just avoiding it, regardless of I guess your intention, you know, like I think me and like other people, we're avoiding it for you know not to lower our testosterone, right? You're avoiding it to save the earth, supposedly, right? I mean, regardless, though, I think, you know, I think we have the same goal, just different intentions, you know. But the point is, and a lot of companies actually are doing this. They're trying to reduce plastic, right, for environmental reasons, right? I'm trying to reduce plastic for testosterone reasons, right? So I can keep my testosterone as high as possible, right? Be as jacked as possible. But, I mean, they're doing it for environmental reasons. I'm doing it for testosterone reasons. Right. And I think, most people that actually care about their body are probably doing it for testosterone reasons, right? For health reasons, right? Right. And I mean, even for women, I don't think they should like obviously drink from plastic just because it's estrogenic, right? Again, this is a chemically induced estrogenic. It's not even an organic, right? Right? Because there are some like in nature or whatever, right? There are some things that actually do give like an organic form of estrogen, which is safer, right? Probably better for women, right? But obviously, like plastic is not, right? It makes me wonder, like, how much of this stuff is actually good for you, right? Like, so much plastic, you're just touching plastic like everywhere. Even like, like this pen, right? And this pen is made out of plastic, right? Right. This other pen is also made out of plastic, right? Yeah, right. I mean, this is probably made out of plastic. I don't know. Right. And it makes you wonder, like how do we avoid plastic? Right. If you care about your health, right? Now you're gonna say blue rings. This is like super extreme, right? And you're trying to avoid plastic and everything. You know that may be true, but at the same time, it's like your health is important, right? And even the clothes you wear are very important, right? I mean, it'll be hard for me to personally give up polyester, right? Because most of my gym equipment that I train with is polyester, right? Although, I would and I've been wearing that stuff for years, right? And lots of people have been wearing that stuff for years, right? I mean, right, like some of the famous companies like Gymshark, right? Literally, I think everything they make is out of polyester. And what's a shame is that I actually kind of like the material just because, it literally attaches to your skin and it makes, it may basically makes you look buffer, right? Right. Even though you're wearing clothes, right? But then at the same time, there are some estrogenics, synthetic estrogenic in there as well, right? I was like, damn. Like even the gym clothes, supposedly, like as you're working out, like it's basically lowering your testosterone. I mean, I don't know by how much, but I guess in the long term, they probably could, right? Which is why they say, you should either get cotton or linen. Linen is ideally the best. The problem is it's a little expensive for some people, right? And I realized, you know, as I started reading like you know, on the shirts, so many of them are cotton, right? Or linen, or it'll be like 50% cotton, 50% polyester, right? Or worst of all, 100% polyester, right? 100% polyester, right? Or 35% linen, 10% polyester, and the rest is cotton, right? But I think it's time, like if you really care about your health, right? I mean, even the fitness industry, right? I might make a separate episode for that and how it's kind of like a scam, honestly. Like not the whole fitness industry, but fitness diet, definitely. This is what I personally believe in. There's three forms of diets, right? There's the regular American diet, which is consists of basically McDonald's and whatever else, right? McDonald's, Arby's, all that. And there's like the fitness diet, which is slightly better, right? But it's not that as amazing as people think, right? The whey protein you have still contained, well, depending on the company, of course, right? The whey protein you have contains GMO, right? Right, either from like GMO, like cornstarch or whatever, right? Contains it. GMO byproducts, right? And then even the protein bars you're eating, even that most of them are not healthy, right? And the really healthy ones are just absurdly expensive, right? So most people can't even get those, right? I mean, it's probably cheaper to just make your own protein bars, right? Or granola bars, whatever you want to call them, right? And it's man, like, I mean, there's a couple of companies I know that are actually kind of decent, in term, right? Realistically, it's only two companies I know, you know. I might mention them if you guys are really interested, but right, there's only two companies that are actually really good, right? And then the organic diet is above the fitness diet, right? This is personally what I call it, the organic diet, right? And this basically is like, ideally, you want to be as organic as possible, right? Obviously, this is going to be very difficult in the West, but this is going to consist of non-GMO, right? If you're going to eat meat, grass-fed meat, right? It's Zabiya halal, of course, right? But even if you aren't Muslim, you should be eating Zabiya halal meat, right? I'll probably make a separate video why you should, right? And third, I guess the third thing is that like if you're gonna eat plants, right? Again, it should be non-GMO stuff, right? And, like everything should be non-GMO, right? Non-estrogenic, right? It doesn't even come down to just the diet. It comes down to your basically your whole lifestyle in a way to avoid plastic, to avoid, you know, I mean polyester, yeah, sure, right? Avoid polyester, especially if you have low testosterone. Avoid that. If you're high testosterone like me, then I guess you don't necessarily need to avoid it as much, right? But avoid it as much as you can, at least at home. Maybe when you go to the gym, you can wear polyester, right? But if you're gonna wear polyester even at home, I mean, I don't know how much it's gonna affect you even more, right? Because at least if you're like wearing it just for a couple hours, it's not too bad, right? But if you're gonna sleep in it, right? If you're gonna sleep in it for 8 hours a day, and then you're gonna change your clothes, and then those clothes are also polyester. I mean, you're kind of like castrating yourself, right? So at least your sleepwear shouldn't be polyester. That's what I'm gonna say. At least 100% cotton or linen, right? Linen is ideally the best because I believe they did some research and they found that linen is basically the most non-static clothing that you can have, right? Because obviously polyester very static, right? And cotton is very low static, right? But linen is like literally no static, right? And that static, when I'm sure as a kid, right, when you rub your socks on the floor, right, which they were more likely made out of polyester, right, and you could shock someone, right, just by touching them. That's actually really bad for your body, right? That staticness, especially over time, it's actually really bad for your body. I've got some of those side effects. I believe it's like I've had the exact side effects, but there are side effects, right? And it actually is pretty bad for your body in the long term, right? Right? Yeah, I believe it includes headaches, right? That's like if it could literally be your clothes you're wearing that's causing the headaches. And then yeah, so ideally, I mean, I know it's a little expensive. It tends to, I don't think it's like unaffordable, right? At least from what I've seen, right? Maybe your bed sheets. Ideally, you want to have linen bed sheets, right? But if you can get a cotton, that's fine as well, right? So, and make sure it's 100%. You don't want like something that's like, oh, it's 10% linen and then 90% polyester, right? It's like, what's the point of paying for that? Like, I mean, they're basically mixing like something that's organic with something that's synthetically chemical and like fusing it together. Of course, you're gonna have like, yeah, it's not gonna be beneficial. That's the equivalent of mixing like raw milk with rat poison and then being surprised that it's not giving you like health problems. Right? So, you know, you know, I actually have a personal diet plan, right, for myself, right? And I've been changing it up more now because I've been trying to avoid as much processed food and GMO as possible, right? What's funny is I feel like even my physique, even back then, like even when I was eating GMO stuff, it wasn't that bad, right? Maybe because I'm built different, right? But most, like 90% of you are not built different, right? You're built average or normal, right? And the reason that is because well, even the GMO stuff I eat, technically. I mean, I think pretty much everyone eats, right? It was not like I definitely avoided meat at all cost, right? Like GMO meat. I was lucky enough to always eat Zabiya halal meat, right? Right. And yeah, that. And then, I did my research, right? But I don't think I did my research to go beyond the fitness realm. I feel like a lot of people are just stuck in the fitness realm. Like, they get out of the American diet, then they end up in the fitness diet, right? Fitness realm. And, and there are these absolute morons that think that, 500 calories of cake is the same as like, 500 calories of apples, right? Or meat. And it's like, no. Like, no, like if you actually believe that 500 calories, right, or servings or whatever it is, right, a certain amount of the same like basically food of like let's say cake, right, protein cakes, right, protein like pancakes or whatever is the same as like an apple or like meat, then you are absolutely delusional. But there's some genuine like fools that actually believe in this. like, like they're like, oh no, it's cake, bro. It's protein cake. You know, it's the same. And you read the ingredients, you realize, wait, this is all filled with GMO and sugar and like so much processed foods. Like, unfortunately, I used to fall for this too. Right? I mean, I never really ate protein cakes, but you know, other stuff. But I think like you gotta really explore beyond the fitness realm, because you know, again, I should probably say this for the fitness episode that I'll do in the future. Right? Well, I'm probably going to talk about like why you shouldn't even be doing steroids, and I think that it should be honestly just banned completely. You know, right? Because I think America lives in two extremes, honestly. So you either have a really obese guy and you have a really roided guy, all right? Very rarely do you meet someone that's like in the middle, all right? I think you shouldn't be in the middle completely, right? You should maybe be a little bit closer to being like there, you know? Because being average, like no. This is why it's kind of like important to watch what you eat, right? Like raw cow milk, right? Like I'll actually just pull it up right now, right? So I don't butcher this, but right, right. Basically, raw cow milk contains, you know, compared to like pasteurized milk, right? It includes vitamin B12, vitamin C, enzymes that might be affected by heat during pasteurization, right? There's more probiotics, right? People, oh yeah, this is another good point right here. Lactose, right? Right. The problem is, you probably heard, maybe if you're watching this and you're lactose intolerant, right, to milk, supposedly, it's not because of milk. It's actually because of pasteurized milk, right? The chemically, you know, stuff that they put in the milk actually is the reason why, your gut cannot take it. Right? But if you were to drink raw cow milk, you actually would not have that problem, more than likely, right? Because I mean, I would argue that you probably wouldn't have it at all, right? But basically, the reason yeah, and I actually, tried some milk. I mean, I'm not lactose intolerant, right? But even I noticed that, like it didn't feel weird at all compared to like regular milk, which feels weird in your stomach, right? Right. But if you are lactose intolerant, I would suggest trying to give raw milk a chance, right? And seeing like, and then you'll realize like, wait, I'm not actually lactose intolerant. My body just can't handle these chemicals that you're putting in the milk, right? And then allergies and asthma. Okay, I'm gonna read this so I don't get it wrong. It's suggested that compounds in raw milk may help reduce the risk of allergies and asthma. Some proponents believe that the protein in raw milks are less likely to trigger allergic reaction. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if pasteurized, right, milk, like I wouldn't be surprised if that actually does cause some like asthma or allergies, right, or other disabilities, right, in general. And then on top of that, it comes in a plastic container, most milks, right? Right. And think about this. As a kid, you're drinking milk, right, in a plastic container, right? It's literally, like I've never seen milk in a glass jar, right? Maybe you might see it in some stores, right? But even like, what's the point of putting it in a glass jar if it's just you're just gonna put the chemicals in there, right? Like, yeah, sure, it's not plastic. I mean, it's like the difference between putting like a rat poison in plastic versus rat poison in glass. It's still rat poison, right? And that makes you wonder, like, how many kids actually nowadays, especially if you observe, have asthma or some form of allergies, right? Or something else, right? And it could be honestly because of the milk that they're drinking, right? And also, this is another point right here, is that drinking raw milk actually improves your immune system. I mean, this would make sense, right? Because bacteria that's in raw milk promotes like this healthy flora that's in the gut, right? And basically detoxifies any like toxins, right? Especially ones associated with cancer, right? So, you know, cancer is another topic, right? But raw milk potentially probably could solve some cancers, right? So if you have cancer, maybe give it a try. I would personally should just suggest if you can get yak milk because that's probably the best at fighting cancer amongst the milks. But if you can't get that, great. I don't know. I might put all this like the yak milk and all this stuff in like the description below to where you can get it, right? Like if someone really wants it, type it in the comments and let me know if you know someone that has cancer, right? And right, you might want to get them yak milk. That might actually help, right? Now, I don't want to claim that's going to cure it, right? But I do think it could help, according to the research that I'm reading, right? Right. But raw cow milk, in specific, I do think everyone should give it a try. You can, you know, I mean, I suggest boiling it, right? For maybe like, I mean, you don't want to boil it for too long, right? But boil it just like enough. I think 10 minutes should be good, right? And then giving it a try, right? And like maybe for some people they might not be used to it, but honestly you gotta make yourself used to it. Like how are you used to putting chemically castrating? You're basically castrating yourself by drinking this milk. By drinking pasteurized milk, right? Chemically cancerous milk, right? Whereas raw milk can actually prevent cancer, right? So think about that. You know, what? Actually, I might just talk about milk this whole like episode. It's not a bad idea, actually. Because that's what I've been researching for the longest time. Right. Next milk we're going to talk about is goat milk. Right. This actually, goat milk. Okay, so like cow milk has like about 8 grams of protein, right? Goat milk has 9 grams of protein. So one more gram of protein, right? So if you can get some goat milk, right, for anyone that wants more protein, goat milk is probably a good chance of helping you build a bit more muscle, right? I mean, it's 1 gram, so it might not be a whole lot, right, in terms of protein, but there are other benefits. Like for example, right, okay, so I mean, it has more calories, right? But if you're trying to gain muscle, I mean, the calories probably shouldn't matter too much. You probably need to eat more calories, right? Probably in a caloric surplus, anyways, right? Oh yeah, and also another point about obviously make sure this stuff is raw, right? You don't want to get pasteurized goat milk. Make sure it's raw goat milk, right? Same thing if you need to cook it for like 10 minutes, right? And then try it out, right? But it's like all the milks I'm gonna discuss, get it raw, okay? Raw milk, right? Not pasteurized, chemically induced milk, not homogenized, none of that. Just raw milk, and make sure it's in a glass container, right? Ideally, right? And now you're gonna be asking like, how do I get this stuff? Honestly, like the best way is probably ask a local farmer in your area, right? If you live in the city, maybe drive out, see where I mean, you probably Google this, right? Nearest farm, right? Make sure it's not like a corporate like farm where they're just making it for like GMO like cows and stuff like that. Make sure just like just a regular farmer, right? If you can find that, I think that'll be a good start, right? Right. Going back to the goat milk, right? It's actually less has lactose sensitivity. So basically, it has less lactose than cow milk, right? So if you're lactose intolerant again, this could be another option for you, right? That sounds yeah. So like I don't know if you're like really ultra sensitive, right, to lactose, then like goat milk was probably not a bad option. This is also a pretty good option, right? I mean, so over here it basically says goat milk is a good source of nutrients, including protein, calcium, phosphorus, vitamin B12. Right? It's another one. Vitamin B12 is actually really good because it keeps you more focused, right? And riboflavin. I'm not sure what that exactly is, but I'm sure it's helpful, right? Right. It also provides a range of vitamins, including vitamin A and vitamin D, right? And you're less likely to be allergic to this one, right? Right, because some people they might be allergic to this, right? Even though I don't think you probably will be allergic to raw cow milk, right? In specific, but let's say you are, maybe try goat milk, right? Right, and then bone health, it has a good amount of calcium, right? Which is like great, right? And of course, like I'm sure you've probably seen like skincare products that are made out of goat milk, right? Because this actually is good for your skin, right? Now, I'm not too sure about necessarily putting goat milk literally on your skin, but you could get goat milk products, right? Make sure, obviously, again, make sure even skincare stuff, right? That might be another episode, right? Skincare and like makeup and all that, right? Like all the chemicals that are in makeup that can cause cancer. That's another, right? But if it's like organic, right, then it's fine, right? Again, the organic diet is not just a diet about what you eat; it's a diet about everything. So it's a lifestyle. And again, if you want, I don't know, all these different types of milk that I'm discussing, let me know. I might put them in the description, right? Because I mean, there's no point in putting extra work. Like if nobody wants to actually get this stuff, but if you actually want to get this stuff, then let me know. Just say put a comment, even if it's just one comment. Hey, could you let me know where you got like goat milk from or raw cow milk or yak milk from, whatever it is, right? Put it in the description, right? And I'm not going to be sponsored by any of these, right? So this is just going to be straight up like, you're just going to get it, right? I don't unfortunately get money from this, right? Another, so we're going to move on to another milk, and this is camel milk, right? So from the Muslim world, you might have actually already drank some of this actually. Camel milk is very nutritious, right? Right. It has a good source of things like obviously protein, vitamins such as vitamin B12, minerals like calcium, iron, zinc. It also has higher levels of certain vitamins and minerals compared to cow milk. Right. Again, if you're lactose intolerant, right, camel milk is actually has less lactose, right, than cow milk. Again, right. So this could also be another one. So right. Maybe you try the goat milk, you try camel milk, right? So great. Apparently, it has a lot of good anti-inflammatory properties as well, right? Antioxidant activity, antimicrobial effects as well, right? And if you have diabetes, right, there is some research that suggests that this can actually help with diabetes, right? Oh, dang. And then there's also something with, I think it can even help autism. So let's see. Okay. Right. So apparently it's saying that camel milk can actually help with some improvement of autism. Now, whether whether that's a real disorder or not, that's a different discussion. But it can help with that, right? Skin health. Okay. Apparently, this also helps with skin too, right? Right. And it boosts testosterone levels too. That's actually really good. So if you have low testosterone, it's gonna probably help, right, increasing your testosterone rate. Right. I don't want to read this whole thing. I just want to give you guys like basically what I've read. Right. See, let's see. Okay. I could have sworn I read something about cancer. Maybe I didn't put it, but I could have sworn it actually does help with cancer as well. Right. But I don't want to make any claims. Right. Do the research. Right. Okay. Now we're gonna move on to my favorite. Well, I haven't tried it yet, so I don't want to say it's my favorite, but it seems to be the most ideal in terms of protein, right? And that is sheep milk, right? Right. So sheep milk actually, you want to guess how many grams of protein it has? So cow milk, right, is 8, goat milk 9. You want to guess how much sheep milk is? 14 grams of protein. 14 grams, right? So I mean, I'm actually surprised nobody in the bodybuilding community actually discusses this, right? Is that you should be drinking sheep milk if you're really trying to get your protein intake in. You should be drinking sheep milk, right? Raw sheep milk. Again, like I said, right? All of this is raw, right? Right. It literally says here, sheep milk far outpaces the others when it comes to protein, right? Right. It even has more amino acids, right? Right, which are basically the building blocks for protein, right? I'm sure you've probably seen those small containers with amino acids, which I mean, I don't really think that they're the most helpful, right? But sheep milk, right? Yeah, again, organic things like this stuff can pretty much help with that. Sheep milk is packed with obviously protein, healthy fats, vitamins like vitamin B, or B vitamins, I should say, and minerals like calcium, phosphorus, and zinc, right? And it's high quality protein. That's like the key right here, right? So this will probably help, right? Especially if you're trying to build muscle. This is like amazing right here. Right. The only thing is that it contains more fat. Right. This is like a good form of fat compared to, you know, the synthetic fat that they put in like a McDonald's burger, right? Or whatever, right? Right. So do keep that in mind. It does have more fat than other milks. Right. So if I don't know if you're trying to avoid fat, but I would say give it a try. You never know. Right. Because it does say it's rich in healthy fats. Right. Like fatty acids like omega-3 and omega-6, right? Which are actually good for your heart, right? And like overall health. And again, sheep milk is lower in lactose, right? So if you're lactose intolerant, try sheep milk. Make sure it's raw. Like I said, I keep saying raw, right? I really want to stress this, right? It has higher mineral absorption, right? Vitamins and oxidants, antioxidants, right? Right? Has that. And A2 casein, right? Right. I'm sure you've probably seen like casein protein, right? And those like big, like I guess like jugs of like um, you know, protein. Sheep milk has that, right? But obviously, it's in organic form, right? And the best part is, right? Sometimes when you read these like whey proteins, they cause like an issue in your stomach. Whereas the one in sheep milk, right, the A2 casein, it actually lowers the risk of digestive problems, right? Because it also has anti-inflammatory problems. Think about that. And it's great for your gut health and digestion, right? Right. So I mean, you could take sheep milk in different forms. You can make it into like a yogurt, cheese. I mean, this is for all the milk, honestly. Or you can take them in cheese form or yogurt or cream or whatever it is. Point is, sheep milk is basically good for you, has a good amount of protein, and it also has high calcium as well, right? And the good thing about this is that if you have osteoporosis, right, or if you, I don't know, if you have any bone problems, it's actually good for that, right? So this will prevent a lot of those bone problems, right? Like osteoporosis, right? Right, which is basically osteoporosis, right? Again, I don't want to butcher it, but basically it's kind of like where your bones start to deteriorate and they start losing their strength. That's basically what it is, right? Now we're gonna move on to another form of milk, right? This is gonna be a more unconventional milk, right? This is horse milk, right? This is actually something people in like Kazakhstan, right, actually drink. Right? They even eat horse meat, right? It's probably why if you look at like someone like Shafka, right, or Triple G, it's probably why they're probably pretty strong, right? Because I mean, just naturally, just if you look at a horse, it's a very strong animal, right? But if we talk about horse milk in specific, right? Again, this is actually could be another one, right? Because this has 35 to 50% more whey proteins than cow milk does, right? And it has 50% less, I believe it's less fat. Oh, no, my bad. It's 50% less calories than cow milk, right? So if you're trying to get enough whey proteins, you don't want to have enough, that many calories, and horse milk might actually be an option, right? Right. And other things include, obviously, it has the other vitamins, proteins, B vitamins, minerals, calcium, iron, magnesium. And again, lactose in this is actually lower than cow milk, right? So again, if you're lactose intolerant, maybe, you can go down the list of things I'm saying because I'm pretty sure most of these milks have less lactose than cow milk, right? So give that a try and see, like, you know, maybe you've been told milk is not good for you because you're lactose intolerant, right? Maybe give these other milks a try, right? I mean, start off with raw cow milk first, right? And then you might actually surprisingly discover you're not even lactose intolerant to begin with, right? It was just chemicals, right? That your body is just not gonna absorb in like pasteurized milk, right? It's also rich in something called immunoglobulins, right? Right. Which are basically antibodies. And, if you have a poor immune system, this could help with that, right? And it also has anti-inflammatory problems. I mean, it can prevent anti-inflammatory things, right? So basically, if you have problems in your gut and stuff like that, inflammation and all that, it can prevent that as well, right? And just like goat milk, it is also good for your skin, right? So some skincare products actually do have horse milk, right? So again, like I said, if it's organic skin products, then it's fine, right? Most skin products that are in like regular stores are kind of like dog shit, if we're gonna be honest here, right? So I would avoid that at all costs, right? And then, and it's actually less allergic than cow milk, right? Like I said, right? So again, if you have allergies or whatever, try give this a chance, right? Gut health contains more probiotics and beneficial bacteria to support gut health and digestion, right? Right. Just like what was it, yak milk that I mentioned? Right. We're gonna get to yak milk, right? Right? I'm gonna be talking about a lot of unconventional milks, right? So, and some like, I'm just gonna go down the whole like list of milks that I've researched personally, right? Now, the next milk is gonna be from a similar animal, right? It's gonna be, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, horse milk is actually very similar to human milk, right? So, like women that breastfeed children, it's actually very similar to milk that humans produce, right? It's also another side note. So maybe, I guess you could consider it, right? And the same is true for donkey milk. It's actually also closer to human milk than any other milk, right? And and just just like apparently even donkey milk has 35 to 50% more whey protein than cow milk, right? So again, if you want more whey protein, this might actually be a good like thing, right here, right? And again, this actually has a lot of amino acids as well, right? Which are again building blocks of protein, right? So you might want to consider this as well. Has nutrient contents like protein, vitamins A, B, and D, and minerals like calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus. It's interesting. So it has magnesium in this. Okay. And phosphorus, right? It has phosphorus too. And it's also rich in something called lysozyme, right? Which is basically an enzyme that can support the immune system. So again, if you have a weak immune system, consider this, right? Skin, and I've actually seen some like, skincare products that actually have donkey milk in there, and I was just like, why, right? But that's apparently good for your skin, right? Again, make sure it's organic, anti-inflammatory effects, right? So anti-inflammatory effects. So basically, again, if you have inflammation type of things, this can help with that, right? This can lower allergies, right? Especially if you're hypoallergic, right? Gut health, it's good for that immune system, right? Okay. Now, okay. Again, this is actually going to be. What are these animals exactly called? Donkey and horse? Equiline, I think, or something like that, right? Equestrian? I don't even know, right? But basically, this is going to be another conventional, like, milk. I don't even know where you could even get this, but zebra milk, right? Right? Let me actually see. So zebra milk, I don't even know if this is actually beneficial or not. Or basically, zebra milk is like 90% water, and you know, it's 2.2% fat, 1.6% protein, 7% lactose, and 90% water. Right, right. That's interesting. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anything special about zebra milk in specific. Right, it doesn't seem like there is. But I don't know, I guess if you ever go to Africa and like want to try zebra milk, right? I imagine that'd be pretty hard to get, considering zebras are really hostile, unlike horses and donkeys, right? And I don't think this animal necessarily fits in the same family, but it does look similar to them. It's like the taller version, right? Giraffe milk, right? Now again, I don't know if you can actually get this stuff. It's super hard. I would assume it's pretty hard to get this stuff. Giraffe milk. Apparently, they're actually calling it a superfood, right? Because apparently it's really rich in vitamin A and B12, right? And it can even treat supposedly diabetes, cholesterol, and irritable bowel syndrome, right? So if you have any of those problems, try to get some giraffe milk. I would love to help, but I unfortunately don't know how you would get this. I actually did research how to try to get this, but I mean, probably the only way is like either go to the zoo or ask them, tell them, hey, I have this problem. It's probably the only way, right? Or you go to Africa straight up and get it, right? And apparently, it's also richer in terms of fat, total proteins, ash content, and lactose is lower. So again, if you're lactose intolerant, this might be another thing, right? But you probably try the other ones first, right? Because this is probably the most difficult one to get, right? This and the zebra milk are probably the most difficult ones to get, right? Right. So it also has properties like riboflavin, thiamine, and vitamin B6, right? And higher levels of vitamin A and B12, right? So I think the biggest thing here is that I can treat diabetes. I think there was another milk I mentioned before that could do the same, right? But I can also treat cholesterol and, interestingly, irritable bowel syndrome, right? That's interesting. Now, we're gonna get the next milk that we're gonna get into is the one that I've kind of been talking about is yak milk, right? Now, again, yak milk is also richer than cow milk when it comes to protein, fat, and total solids, right? So basically, it's easier to digest, and you're less likely to be allergic to it, right? Has a good source of amount of amino acids, right? Right, and even yeah, I mean it's richer in polyunsaturated fatty acids, protein, casein, right, and all that, right. That's interesting. It's actually saying that yakimoka may have potential therapeutic benefits for hypertension, as it contains peptides that have been shown to have anti-hypertensive effects. That's interesting. So if you have this, consider yakimoka as well, right? It also contains high levels of beneficial fatty acids, right? Like omega-3 and conjugated linoleic acid, right? Which basically that means that it can reduce inflammation, improve heart health, and support brain function. So again, if you want to improve these things, this is another option that you can get. And again, I mean, I'm not sure where exactly, yak is from, but I think it might be from Kazakhstan as well, right? I'm sure they probably have it over there. Oh, it's actually from Tibetan herders, I believe. Okay, okay. But I wouldn't be surprised if Kazakhstan has yak milk. I'm just trying to. Okay, okay. Oh, it's right here. So additional yak milk and its derivatives show potential as anti-cancer agents, displaying properties that may inhibit the growth and spread of cancer cells, right? So if you or someone you know has cancer, yak milk might be a good option. Just like I believe it was Camel Milk, what I said earlier, that also has cancer, right? Right. But I would suggest, giving raw milk a chance first. Right. You don't want to like try all these other ones if you're not gonna try raw cow milk first, right? That's what I would suggest. Right. Again, vitamins, like B vitamins, minerals. And this one, just like I believe, I forgot which one it was, right? Magnesium and phosphorus. This one also has like calcium, right? Right. How's right? And it's interesting that the Tibetans have actually consumed this for generations, right? So this isn't something necessarily new, like, you know, I guess like giraffe milk or zebra milk would be, right? But yeah, I mean, this would actually probably be a good choice, thing that you might want to consider. And then there's buffalo milk, right? The buffalo milk, let's see, has high nutritional value, be it vitamins. It actually has 9 grams of protein, so it's more than cow by, again, 1 gram, right? Just like goat milk, right? But it's high in fat, right? It's actually higher in lactose too, I think, in calories compared to cow. It is richer, though, in calcium and protein than cow milk, and has less cholesterol and sodium. So, if you want to cut down on your sodium and your cholesterol, maybe buffalo milk might actually be a good thing, right? Also, I think I believe it's in India, they drink buffalo milk more instead of like regular cow milk, right? This is great for bones, dental, and cardiovascular health. It's also a great source of minerals such as magnesium, potassium, and phosphorus, right? So this one has potassium in it, kind of like bananas. And then again, this is going to be another. I mean, I guess it's somewhat unconventional, right? Reindeer milk, right? So significant. Let's see. So again, reindeer milk is less lactose than cow milk, right? The milk has important antibodies, right? Right. I don't see trying to. Okay. Well, I don't see anything super special about it, except for the fact that it's used in some medications. So there are some properties that actually can be healing, right? Because they use it in some medicines, right? Now I wonder what medicines use it. Now deer milk, or just regular deer milk, has the highest total fat, protein, and casein protein content of all animal species whose milk has been used for human nutrition, right? Soybean milk also contains calcium, phosphorus, and zinc than cow's milk, right? And then, elk. I'm actually basically talking about deers in general, right? Yeah, actually, yeah, this is going to be about deers, right? We had the horses, right? Or the ones that are similar to horses. Now we're moving on to the deers, right? But elk milk has essentially amino acids like theanine, methionine, and histidine, right? Right? It's more double than what's found in cow's milk. And microelements like silicon, magnesium, manganese, aluminum, molybdenum, and cobalt is also superior to that of cow's milk, right? So if you want those things, consider elk milk. And now this is going to be another deer, right? But it's probably the most unconventional one. Moose milk, right? And surprisingly, you can actually get this, right? Right. Obviously, I don't know how to get it, but you can get it. Right. Moose milk contains twice the amount of essential amino acids as cow's milk. It's also very high in iron, selenium, zinc, and phosphorus, and a great source of calcium, magnesium, potassium, vitamin B12, and vitamin E. That's interesting. So none of the other milks mention anything about vitamin E, but this one has vitamin E, right? And saying that moose milk basically has a lot of health benefits. Moose milk is also linked to preventing gastrointestinal diseases, and it's consumed by elderly people in Russia, Sweden, and Canada. So basically, if you have gastrointestinal disease, you should maybe consider moose milk, right? It's actually quite interesting. All right. Apparently, it's saying that. Oh yeah, and if you like cheese, apparently it's saying that moose milk is naturally high in both butter fat and milk solids, which is ideal for making it into cheese, right? Now we're gonna move on to instead of moose or deers, I should say, we move on to another. I think this is technically this animal is a part of the camel family, right? We're gonna move on to llama, right? Milk, as well as alpaca milk, right? They're both gonna have like, I guess they kind of like jammed them together. I can see why, right? Right, but basically it says that alpaca milk, right, shows higher protein and ash contents with respect to camelid's milk, while llama milk has a very high lactose content. Both llama and alpaca showed high nutritional content and should be considered the alternative foods for human in semi-arid regions of South America. Okay. So basically, okay, so for llama milk, it's saying that it's rich in protein, calcium, vitamin C, making it an excellent source for those who are looking for a healthier alternative. Right. So if you want those, maybe consider llama milk. Right. It's also easier to digest than cow milk. Right. Right. It's higher in sugar, but again, this is like a natural sugar, right? Not like chemically concocted sugar that we have nowadays. Right. It's lower in fat, energy content is okay, then milk of domestic ruminants. Almond milk also contains more Ca and less Na, K, and Cl, which I'm assuming those are all vitamins, right? And then llamas is saying that llama milk has no signs of mastitis, mastitis pathogens. That's interesting. Right. So it's saying that, okay, so now for alpaca, it's saying that it's high in protein and low in fat, right? The high protein milk sustains the rapid growth of free without depositing excessive body fat. The protein is rich in sulfur containing amino acids, cysteine to promote good fleece conditions. That's interesting. So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, this is not what it says, but I wouldn't be surprised if this actually helps with like hair, right? I mean, if it helps a lot, if this milk can help a llama's fur, it can probably help your hair too, right? This is just a theory, right? Right. Then apparently there's also bison milk, all right? So let's see. Actually, so saying bison milk is extremely nutritious. Right, it's great for healthy bones, dental health, and cardiovascular. Oh, wait, that's buffalo. Right. Hmm. Okay. Actually, I couldn't find anything from bison milk. That's because every time I searched up bison milk, now I remember. So every time I searched up bison milk, buffalo milk came up. All right. But I did find something that's interesting. I found something for beefalo milk. Like, if you don't know what that is, that's basically a bison hybrid with a cow, right? And they call it a beefalo, right? So it's interesting that they combine these animals, right? And they did this research, right? Right. So it has high protein, right, and rich milk. Okay, let me see. Let me see. All right. Hybrid milk is claimed to be a great improvement on Potent's progeny, as it's more docile and better milker than the buffalo. Protein is hardihood, while the robe is finer, darker, and more. So I mean, it doesn't say any. specific benefits aside from just rich milk. You know, like how am I supposed to guess what that means? Like, but hopefully you guys learned a lot about the different milks. I might even make a part two. Right, if I find more milks. Right now, obviously, does this mean that you need to go and consume every milk that I discussed here? No, and I think most of this would be impossible, really hard to get. Right, expensive too, I'm sure. But you just consider that maybe there are certain alternatives, right? Even with eggs, I might make a separate episode for that, for eggs, right? So, because obviously most people eat chicken eggs, I might make it for other types of eggs too that you could consider taking, right? Or eating, I mean, right? So it's the same thing with milk, right? Maybe you should consider trying some milks, right? I'm gonna try and get some sheep milk, right? I'm in the process of getting that, right? Right, and I'll let everyone know how that goes. But in terms of like, obviously like do the research, find out like what type of milk might be like best for you, right? Or you could try 2 to 3 different types of milk, right? And drink those daily if you need to, right? Like maybe you can have like I don't know, maybe someone has cancer, right? Right, so you can recommend yak milk, right? And I forgot the other one. I believe it was camel milk, or I think it said even raw milk as actually has benefits for cancer. So right, give them raw milk and yak milk, right? And they can drink that daily, right? And that could be a potential like thing that they could actually drink, right? So consider that as an option, right? Now, if you have you know other problems, right? Like I said, right? Because I'm not gonna remember all of this, you know. But like just you could rewind the video, right? So like for the gas, or is it the intestinal diseases, right? If you have any problems with that, consider getting the milk that helps with that, right? If you have low calcium, consider getting sheep milk, right? Right. If you want something, if you're lactose intolerant, right? Maybe even raw cow milk doesn't work for you, right? Which is unlikely in my opinion, right? But let's say for sake of argument, it doesn't work. Even that doesn't work for you. Then you consider maybe goat milk, camel milk. I mean, it seemed like almost all of them, except for like I think it was what was it, llama milk or alpaca milk? One of those two was the only one that had higher lactose than cow milk. The rest of them had lower lactose, right? So consider that, right? And of course, make sure, like I said, make sure the stuff is raw, right? Right. Now, some of the, you know, I mean, I don't know how you're gonna get giraffe milk. It's like, I tried looking that up. It's unfortunately not possible, at least online. Right? Maybe you could go to the zoo, right, and get it. Same with zebra milk, although zebra milk doesn't seem to have any like benefits that are like where it was like wow, like this could be considered like an alternative, right? I mean, it just said it was 90% water. It's like you may as well just drink water, right? So I mean, hopefully that was helpful, right? In determining what kind of milk might actually be good for you. Right? For right now, I'm drinking raw cow milk, but consider getting that and maybe another one that I mentioned. Right. And let me know how that goes. Right. Let me know in the comment section. Right. I tried sheep milk. It was good for me. It helped me here. I tried goat milk. It was good for me. Right. Camel milk, whatever it was, give it a try. See how it is. Right. Now, with these like more I will say this, these more non-conventional milks, right? Like I mentioned, horse milk, right? Unfortunately, maybe some of them might come in plastic, right? Right? Or something like that. So you might have to consider that part, right? Maybe you could do it as like where it comes in plastic, then you switch it out in a glass container, right? Now is that ideal? No. that's probably the best you can do. And there's no harm in like trying, right? So try some of these options out, right? Right, and consider that hopefully you learn something, great. But don't forget to like, subscribe, comment below what you think. But until next time, peace.